nonsense steady flow. She didn't have time for the luxury of grief. Chapter 2. Jackie Frakes leaned forward to peer anxiously through the windshield. She flipped the beams to high, but the wall of rain and sleet reflected the extra light into her already straining eyes. She still could see nothing farther ahead than another car length, maybe two. Wincing, she switched back to low beams and prayed the lines on the road would remain visible as rain continued to wash over the pavement. The turnoff for Bridgeport loomed out of the dark, and she slowly bore to the right. She clutched the MG down into low gear as the road curved, and then headed what felt like straight up where the rain would be snow. Next stop, 6,000 feet, and then some. She flicked the radio off now that the 5 o'clock news had ended. It was hard enough to focus on politics when the skies were sunny and the reception was filling with static. There was nothing else to do but inch ahead and curse everyone responsible for her predicament. This surely couldn't be her fault, she thought. Oh, no, you're not the one driving an old sports car in this weather. No, it was her mother's fault for guilt-tripping her into spending Thanksgiving with her nearest living relative, an Aunt Jackie she hadn't seen since she was a toddler. It was also Parker's fault for advising her to buy the used but sporty MG when she had really wanted something with four-wheel drive. It was, without question, mostly her boss's fault for one delaying request after another. She'd only come in that morning because Mannings had said the last-minute changes to project specs were minor, but he wanted to forward them to the client before leaving for the long weekend. It never failed. Her requests for days off were inconvenient and whittled down, and even when he did agree, he came up with emergencies. A deadline always came along, and she felt guilty, harried and ill-used by the time she left. Mannings would refer to her untimely departure for weeks. "If you'd stayed another hour, you would know why the project changed." He would have kept her there until midnight if she hadn't given him the look. The look told Mannings she'd had enough of changing CAD specifications one at a time, and no, she would not do a new set of 12-color proofs before she left. The look said she was sick of ticky-tacky box condominium design, Mannings, and the last-minute rush jobs that were keeping her later and later in increasingly foul weather. All she had said was that she would do it on Monday. He became all consideration suddenly, expressing concern about the long drive ahead of her and the weather. It would take a lot out of a gal, he had said, to undertake a 6-hour drive up into some pretty big mountains. Jackie gritted her teeth. He always paused before saying gal. She knew he still wanted to say girl. She gave him the look again and told him no, she did not think starting out tomorrow morning was better. Her aunt served Thanksgiving at 1 p.m., and she wasn't getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get there in time. She clenched the wheel and cursed herself for being too much of a coward to tell him that if she'd had the whole day off as she'd intended, there wouldn't be a problem. Instead of a relaxed, scenic daylight drive, she'd sped past snow-dusted Topaz Lake as the last of the winter sun faltered. The wan headlights flickered over an elevation sign, 4,500 feet, and she was still heading up. She was certain she was lost. She reached to turn the heater up again, but checked herself. It was up as far up as it would go. Half-frozen rain clung to her wipers. Another blast of freezing air worked its way around the ragtop, and Jackie groped in her glove compartment for the thin driving gloves Parker had given her. They weren't lined, but they were better than nothing. She braked at the top of the pass and was relieved to see lights of civilization below her through the smearing slush on her windshield. A few miles later, a sign reassured her that she'd found Bridgeport at last. It was a small place, and she was through it in a few minutes. There were only a few other vehicles in sight, and all the houses she passed looked hunkered down for the storm. She drove carefully along the highway and fought back a tremor of fear. The left-turn pocket her aunt had told her to take popped out of the glare after only a few minutes of tense driving,